I remember each time when I've had to look for work, the process is so difficult. But by far the worst part is writing a CV. I was never sure what to write, how to lay it out, or what buzz terms to use. Well, here we have support for you if you're going through that now. Our project partners, Bright Network, they're here to offer some expert insights and advice.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our exclusive workshop in partnership with Deaf Unity. This workshop is going to be all about how to impress leading employers through your CV. My name's Shelly O'Gilvie, and I am the membership manager at Bright Network. And we are free to join careers platforms supporting students just like you to realize their potential, unlock great opportunities for their career, and build the skills that they need to do that. Very much like this workshop that we're doing today, all about CVs. So enough about me. Today, what we're going to cover is, firstly, we're going to dive into what employers are really looking for and how you can exemplify that through your CV. Secondly, we'll talk about researching firms in terms of preparing for completing and filling out your CV. Then we're going to go into the CV basics, the need to knows, and then finally, CV structure. We're also going to leave you with some 5 top tips to take away. So first and foremost, what do graduate employers want? Well, we ask every year, we do an annual survey to our network of 400,000 students, just like yourselves, and our network of employer partners, over 400 employer partners. These are Times Top 100 employers, the leading graduate firms in the world. So on the student side, we ask them both the same question. What do you think graduate employers value most in candidates? And on the student side, you can see they think it's a 2-1 or above or existing industry experience. But if you take a look at what employers actually say they value in candidates, it's all these other key areas like communication skills, passion for the business, problem-solving skills, resilience, commercial awareness, and then a 2-1 above and existing industry experience comes further down the list. That's not to say that they're not important factors or they're not important things that employers are looking for, but you can see in the level of importance that they place these values, things like communication skills, passion for the business, problem-solving skills, resilience and commercial awareness are far more key and exemplify a really great candidate. So when you're thinking about how to construct your CV and what you want to convey, it's those top 5 things that are really going to help you to stand out. Moving on then to our research and preparation. So thinking about how to get prepared for even starting to write your CV or make an application. So first and foremost, you need to research the career that you're looking to enter into and the firm that you're looking to apply to, or the firms that you're looking to apply to really get an understanding for the sector, the industry, and what they're really looking for. So first and foremost, your firm websites, check those out as a starting point, because this is where the knowledge of their careers and their careers opportunities and what they're really looking for, they will have all of that on there, or at least everything that they want to kind of promote to you guys and let you guys know about. That's what they'll expect you to know. So check out firm websites as a starting point. Then don't just leave your research there, because that's not going to be extensive enough. They'll give you really good information on there, but you need to go deeper than that. So next, you're going to want to go into press articles to look at different instances where different firms that you're really interested in, or key players within the industry you're interested in heading into. Where have they been in the press recently? What articles have come up about them? And this will really give you an opportunity to build your commercial awareness around the firm and around the industry as a whole. If you understand what's happening, what situations are happening around that firm that is affecting that firm, either it could be creating opportunities for that firm, or it could be creating could be creating opportunities, or it could be creating threats for the firm. So understanding the layout of the land around the business is going to be really beneficial to helping you inform your CV and in interviews and applications going forward. Finally, check out their social media as well. So this is a great way to see what new projects the company's working on, if they've had any new announcements in terms of their team, in terms of the partners that they're working with, so their clients, perhaps there's a brand new innovative project that they're working on. This is where you get the most up-to-date information about the firms and industries that you're interested in. And again, helps you build your commercial awareness. In terms of office visits and open days, this is a really, in terms of office visits, obviously we're in a very virtual environment now. So these will be more virtual office visits or open days or insight days, but they're still out there. So definitely, if you're interested in law, for example, go and see if the top law players or some cool law firms you're really interested in have some virtual open days on. There's lots going on, and just by taking the time out to go and investigate what's out there, you'll really reap the benefits, and it'll give you a chance to have a personal experience with a firm that you can use perhaps in your upcoming applications or CVs. Next area to develop your research is through your network. So thinking about who in your network has connections to the industry or information that would be really useful. It may not even be the industry, it might just be general CV information that you could use to help you kind of set up your CV, or maybe some top tips that they've used in the past that has really served them well. But beyond that, think about who's within your connection. Perhaps it's your university lecturers who have had careers within the sectors that you're interested in. Perhaps it is your LinkedIn connections, and maybe you're connected to a couple of people who've graduated and gone into that sector who can share back useful insights on how to create a really standout CV, or what areas of or attributes on a CV have really stood out, really stands out to that employer. They'll have all that insight knowledge that you'll need to really stand out. And finally, utilize Bright Network. So as I said, we're the free platform to help you unlock those insights, industry insights and connections that you need to get ahead in your career. So check out our website. We have a list of events, both where you can meet employers and connect with them and network, but also we have a list of employer events that are running. So things like those open days that I mentioned and insight days, all on our platform, as well as job opportunities, success stories from alumni members who can tell you exactly how they secured their role, and so much more. So do check those out as well. Okay, so when it comes to perfecting your CV, there's a few key things we have to consider. So let's go back to the CV basics. So first and foremost, what is the purpose of a CV? Your CV is like your entry. Think about trying to go on holiday without your passport. Your CV is like the passport, giving you entry into the working world. Without one, or at least without having something that resembles a CV that tells you about all the things and experiences that you've collated in your experience so far, and portrays all the different skills and achievements that you've gained from those experiences. There's not going to be. It's very difficult to find your way into a firm or industry without that. Secondly, why is it important? I think I've just covered that pretty well in my first statement there. It's important because it really helps you to unlock, to explain and unlock to employers in a really concise and straightforward way why you are or potentially could be the candidate that they're looking for. It will highlight to them all your experience, your capabilities in a really succinct and brief way, so they can take a look at your CV and understand, do you have the attributes that they're looking for? Are you the person that can step into the role in question and really take it by storm? Should it be one-sided or two? So this is a very interesting question. So it really depends on the industry you're in. For the most part, though, where you are at in your career currently, because you're quite early on in your career, you're likely to not need very much longer than a one-sided page CV. Keeping the main thing you need to keep in mind when you're thinking about CV length is, am I being as relevant and concise as I can be? Lots of people include things on their CV that aren't really needed and don't really add much to selling yourself, or don't really add much to creating a great reason for why they should hire you, but they just take up space. So really, when you're going through your CV, you should be thinking about what is the most relevant that I need to include, what it's going to really help an employer decide whether I am the right person for this role or not. And anything else you could normally kind of leave out or kind of put into discuss in your interview or bring in at a later date. But really focus on those key unique selling points that you have that are really going to help them to understand why you are the best person for the job. In some industries, you might need a two-page CV is a bit more standard and is a bit more expected. But what you can do is on Bright Network, if you search CV templates, we have a range of different templates for you for industries such as the law, for consulting, for banking, for whatever industry you're trying to get into. So you can just have a look at those CV templates and make sure that you're setting yours up right. Finally, do all companies require a CV is a question that I get quite a lot on campus. And the answer is not necessarily, but every company, whether it's simply taking the different parts of your CV, so the education history, the experience that you've got, and putting it onto a digital application form online, the information that you'll need on CV will always be needed, and the way that you structured on CV will always be needed. So it's always good, even if you don't end up having to send the CV that you've created directly across, it's always good to have a really great setup CV for any applications that you're submitting, and have it right there for you to really exemplify, even if just yourself, all the great work that you've done, and to write that in a really clear, concise, and engaging way. So moving on now before we get into the CV structure, I'm going to really break it down for you and break down the different parts of a CV and how you need to set it up. In terms of setting up your CV, it's really important to remember this. 6 seconds, that is all the time that you, on average, that you have to impress an employer before they move your CV into the yes or no pile. It sounds so horrible, and it sounds, after you put all this time and energy into your CV, to only have it being looked at for 6 seconds. But it isn't something that you should look at as though recruiters aren't trying to be mean or not give you the time of day. It's that they see so many CVs in a day. What they really want to see by a CV is be able to glance over it and see that you've got the experience they're looking for, you've got the skills that they're looking for, and that you would be a great candidate for the role. If they can see evidence of that anywhere, then they will put you into the yes pile. But if they have to struggle to look for that evidence or spend too much time trying to sift it out of what you've written, they're more than likely just going to put you straight into the no pile. And this comes back to what I mentioned around communication skills. The number one thing that employers value most in candidates. The way that you position and structure your CV really exemplifies how you can convey lots of information in a brief and concise way and get to the point and get your point across. So if an employer is having to spend time sifting through your CV to find out whether you are right for the role, that means that the way that you constructed your CV is not effective in communicating your ability and kind of affinity for the role. So now we're going to move into the layout. So breaking down exactly how you can convey great communication skills, passion for the business, and all these other key things through your CV. So first and foremost, this is our kind of holy grail of CVs. This is the general CV template. As I mentioned before, you can go onto Bright Network and find those sector-specific CV templates. But for now, we'll stick with the general one. So this is an overview. So we're going to start from the top. First and foremost, with your contact information. Always add a little link to your LinkedIn profile, because that's going to be a really nice way to show them even more of the great stuff you're doing, especially if you're keeping active with your LinkedIn profile, sharing about events that you're attending, sharing about new courses that you've been on or skills that you've picked up. It's a great way to give yourself some added promotion. But generally speaking, with the content information, make sure that you update this regularly. So when they're trying to reach out to you via email or mobile number or whatever it is, that you have the most up-to-date information there so they can access you. And make sure to include all the relevant social media, like your LinkedIn, but perhaps for some instances, particularly if you want to go into marketing or something, it might be prevalent as well to put your Instagram profile if you have a particular business profile or a profile where you have your portfolio or something like that. Next is all around kind of education. The whole premise of the first section of your CV is to place a quick to read essential info at the top of the page so that they can quickly tick off, does this person have a relevant degree or background? Does their background fit the person that we're looking for? So for example, if you've read the job description properly, and I hope that you would have, you should be able to know what they're looking for in terms of whether there is a 2-1 or above stipulation, if they're looking for someone who studied a particular degree or comes from a particular degree discipline, and then also maybe they're looking for someone who has a particular A to C, A star to C GCSEs in maths, English, and science, or perhaps particular levels in A levels. And whatever they're looking for, just make sure the qualifying information that they're looking for is right there at the top. So already they can see that, yep, that person fits all those kind of qualifying criteria. Next, we're going to move into the middle section, which is one of the kind of more key sections. So this is talking about your employment history. Now, this should always go in reverse chronological order. So as in the most recent should be at the top. But if you are finding that perhaps the most recent employment history isn't maybe the most relevant, then you can always split out this section into relevant employment history first, and then a section for your other employment. So then you can really spotlight that maybe you are looking for a role in law, but most recently you've worked in perhaps retail, but just before that you did an internship in a law firm. So you'd want to highlight that law firm opportunity first. So what you can do is just separate that out into relevant employment history, so you can put all the super relevant stuff at the top, and then other employment history, so then they can then see all the other skills and achievements that you can bring, and maybe the transferable skills that you'll be able to bring into the role as well. Remember what I said, 6 seconds, so you want to put the most relevant information first. When you're structuring each part of your employment history, so when you're talking about each role that you've had, do follow this structure. So you have the job title, the company, maybe tell them where the company was based, and then 1-line summary of what that company does, if it's not particularly well known. So if it's a smaller boutique firm and they maybe not have heard of that name, just give a quick line summary so they know who that company is and what they do, just for reference. And then what you want to focus on is bullet point the key achievements and responsibilities that you personally held. So what did you own? What were your key responsibilities? What was your ownership? And what was a key achievement? Then within that, you want to talk about, include the kind of skills that you've experienced and developed through those achievements and responsibilities. So I'm going to show you an example in the next slide. But for example, you might have been on a marketing internship, and your key responsibility was to manage the social media account of your firm. And in that, the key achievement that you were able to attain was a 40% uplift in social media engagement to your main profile. Something like that. Use specific examples, talk about exactly what you did, and from that, what skills did you gain? So following the example I just gave, you could talk about the fact that maybe you have developed your graphic design skills by using Adobe, maybe you developed your copywriting skills, your strategic prowess, where you had to kind of schedule in posts for different days and really be strategic with your approach to managing the social media. And then obviously using the example and the outcome of that, so the 40% uplift or whatever it is, as a evidence of how what you were doing had a great impact, and so on for the other areas of your CV as well. So as I mentioned, I put a bit of a example in here. So for example, you could have been social media manager at a firm in London. I've put here, this is actually one of my past experiences, so a little peek in there for you guys. But this is a digital marketing agency specializing in social media management, influencer marketing, and events. So what I put there is I managed 7 client social media accounts simultaneously, creating bespoke content calendars and visual flow plans for weekly scheduling. So right there, I'm telling them exactly what I managed, what my responsibilities were, and what I did. Then I said I increased each client's social media following and engagement by 40 to 150%. So now I'm telling them exactly how what I did had an impact. Then I've gone into the skills that I came away with. So strategic planning, copywriting, community management, audit analysis, graphic design, video editing using Canva, Adobe, Photoshop, and iMovie. Now, to take this even further, what I would recommend doing is actually looping in those different skills that I've listed at the bottom there into the above 2 bullet points. So for each achievement you had and responsibility, tying that into a key skill that you took out from that particular thing that you managed. So it can really highlight to employers, this is what I did. This is what these are the skills that I exemplified by doing this, and this was the outcome. So you can really take them through. And again, make it easy for them in those 6 seconds to see this person has what we need. Okay, so moving on to the layout, the standing out section. So this is when you can talk about all those fantastic extracurricular activities that you've been doing throughout your academic career, before university, during university, outside of university, and really show your passion and drive to go above the average and do more. So this is where you can talk about positions of responsibility or extracurricular activity, but particularly if you've worked for a charity organization, if you've done some volunteering, if you have been part of a society, as in a society committee, this is where you chat about all that, because all that experience is just as relevant and can help you to highlight, if you're seeing in your relevant experience that some of those skills that they're looking for maybe are missing, you can bring that into here and really highlight, I do have those skills through other areas of what I've been doing, perhaps not through work experience just yet, but through my positions of responsibility, I can show you that I've exemplified those skills. So you list again the society name or organization name. If it's unclear what it is, put a little kind of note just to say, just to explain what that organization is and does, or what that society is. And then what your position was, so whether it was volunteer, lead volunteer, project leader, team leader, president, social sec, whatever it is you are. And then you want to do the same format as you did with your employment history. So starting with the key achievement and the responsibilities that you managed. And then you can also link in those skills that you came out of that with. Again, be specific, use metrics. So if you were social second were responsible for leading a ball that your society ran, and you were able to get 30% more tickets sold than the year before, talk about that, say that, tell them exactly what you did and how it had an impact. And then finally, you want to chuck in those bits that are always nice to dash onto the CV. Any awards or extra skills or extra qualifications that you've got. When we say awards, anything that you've been awarded that really highlights that you've gone above and beyond and been recognised for the great work that you're doing. Any extra qualifications or IT skills, these should be things that really link quite nicely to the role. So for example, if you know that you're going into a research-based role or something, and you know that you'll need to do some statistical analysis or something, talk about the statistical softwares that you've used and had access to or been privy to before. If you're going into a creative role and you used to do graphic design, talk about the fact that you've used Adobe, Photoshop, or whatever it is that you've used before. Really be specific about any of those particular IT skills that you've gained. If you know coding, if you know how to code anyway, drop that in there as well. That's always really key for employers to know about your abilities. Most employers would expect Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So you can put it on there, but it's not usually needed. They expect that as a minimum. But what you really want to highlight is where you're at another level compared to kind of the status quo. Most people can use Word, Excel, PowerPoint, but it's about showing where you're going above and beyond. And then finally, languages. So list, obviously, the languages that you're fluent in or native tongue. Perhaps if you're learning a language, it's always nice to put it in there because it shows a bit of your interest as well. But do be very clear about what level that you're at with that language, because you don't want to put down, I'm fluent in Spanish, and then the interviewer starts speaking to you in Spanish and you don't know how to respond. So just be honest there. Throughout the entire CV, really. That's one that you should take away. Be honest, and make sure that every point of your CV you can back it up with evidence, with examples, because if you get to interview stage, they will quiz you on it and they will pick up stuff. And there's nothing worse than if you put something on your CV absent-mindedly, not thought about it, and then when you get asked about it in person, you don't have anything to back it up with, and it comes across as though you've been dishonest. So just make sure you double check everything and you know that what you're saying is absolutely correct and you can back it up all the way. And finally, the very end of your CV should focus on your interests. So again, it could be maybe you're interested in languages, you're learning a language currently, perhaps you have particular interest in sports. This is an area where you can really create rapport with the recruiter or the employer before you've even met them. So you might put something down that really does interest you, but also interests that recruiter. So that is really going to catch their eye. If they're really into hockey as well, and you're very an avid hockey player, they might connect with that on a personal level and think, oh wow, they sound really good. Or maybe the company has a hockey team and they think that's really fabulous. She's done, or he has done hockey, and they fit really nicely into the team because we have a hockey team. You never know how these things will play out, and how certain things that you might put on there will really resonate with the employer. So really first and foremost, be honest with your interests. Don't put down something that you're not actually interested in the hopes that it will be something that they like. Be honest, but you never know when showing that bit of your personality can really help you make a difference between you being selected over someone else. And then for referees, if they ever want references from you, which most graduate employees will, but if they do need references, they'll ask you for them. You don't need to kind of put them on your CV, especially if it's going to take up more space. You can just put references available upon request and make sure you have some references in mind or set aside that you're happy to send across as a reference point. So there you have it, your CV. And if you're following this template and following this style, you should really be left with a best-in-class CV that covers all bases, highlights to employers exactly why you're best for the role, why you're the best person for the role, and allows you to be put into the yes pile rather than the no pile. So finally, my top tips to take away. Always relate kind of anything you're putting on your CV back to yourself with examples. So when you're putting those areas down around your experience and talking about the things you've done, don't talk about the team that you've been in, and don't talk about what the team did or what the society did. They want to know what you did and what you achieved. So focus on that and make sure you include specific examples. So where you've had an uplift or a metric to tie to it, definitely include those. Keep it brief and to the point. Use bullet points. Don't try and write massive amounts of text. Really keep it focused and to the point so they can really get through that CV and go, yeah. They have everything that we're looking for, and put you in that yes pile that I said. Learn the lingo is one that I haven't mentioned quite yet, but it comes back from your research. So when you're doing your research and looking at their social media, looking at their what's it called, the firm websites and press articles, you'll start to get an idea of how the industry talks, and again how that firm particularly speaks that you're applying to. So try to, as wherever possible, try to learn the lingo and sound like a part of the company. It really does wonders to highlight to them, okay, this is someone that really kind of fits our culture, gets what we do, and understands our brand. Then follow up with applications regularly and politely, so that you aren't kind of badgering anyone. Obviously, of course, as I mentioned at the start, there's many applications coming through, and sometimes it takes a while for them to get through them all. But absolutely do follow up with applications that maybe are taking a little bit longer for you to get back to you. But don't worry if you haven't heard back yet, because it just might mean that they have a lot to get through. And finally, don't overuse I too much. So you don't need to go all the way through your CV. I did this, I did that. It doesn't quite read well. You can keep it quite short and to the point with bullet points, and make it clear that it's you that did that piece of work or did that task or had that responsibility. But just try not to overuse I too much. And I believe that that's everything from me. So that's a quick, short CV workshop for you today. But there's lots more that I could take you through. And I find it's always much better to do things one-on-one. So if you're looking for a CV check or want to kind of take the tips I've given you today and put them into practice, and then send across your CV to us for review afterwards, we'll be sharing information on exactly how you can do that. Later through the program. You can email hello@brightnetwork.co.uk if you'd like to become a member and sign up to the network for free. Everything we do for members is free. And if you'd like to book a one-to-one careers consultation just to talk about what you're doing with your career and how you'd like to go forward, we're more than happy to help you with that as well. So that's everything from me. I hope this has been super useful and helpful for you guys. And do reach out with your CVs and send them across to us for us to kind of support you further. But that's it from me from now. Thank you so much for listening. Have a lovely rest of your day.
Hi everyone, welcome to this Speaksy demonstration video. And we're very excited to show you our final prototype and also give you an update on where we are right now and what will happen the coming months. So in fact we've just finished the molds, which means that we can now mass produce the plastics that cover our electronics. The hardware has been finished already and we are almost ready to start mass producing a lot of units that will also be delivered to you. And now to finish up with, I will give you a visual presentation of how the transcripts will look on the screen. But first I'll show you what you're seeing here. As many of you already probably know, this is the charging dock, which also charges the microphones. Each microphone has its own color, which corresponds with the colors that are transcribed on the screen for each microphone. And I've taken out one microphone, I clipped it on, and when I'm speaking right now you can see on the screen how it's transcribed to text in real time, and this way someone who's deaf or hard of hearing can easily follow what's being said and fully participate again in any conversation.